How's it going, everybody? Again, we are here for our Jimmy's Comic News rant around 2:30 p.m. EST every day. Today I have a few things I want to talk about, but there did seem to be some new stuff going on, which I wanted to talk about. So the first thing, yesterday we were talking about this Symbiote Spider-Man #1 Todd Mcfarlane variant. I really like this cover. But it was pointed out to me on Instagram by a gentleman by the name of Voice of Ra that the art was originally used in this activity book, I guess, from 1993, which isn't really that big of a surprise. And if you look, there's no signature. There's no Todd McFarlane signature on the cover art for the activity book. But if you look at the one that Marvel is coming up with, it's somehow been placed right there under the webbing. But again, it doesn't appear in the original one, which is interesting. I guess he does get paid something for that. I do kind of like the original one more, and I imagine that book will become more collectible if it wasn't collectible already. I mean, I haven't been able to find any online. I didn't see any sales, but it is a pretty solid cover, and I do prefer the original coloring. So there was that going on. The other big news of today is that the Avengers End-Game trailer, or I guess it's like the fourth trailer, has been released for that movie. I honestly haven't watched any of these movies. I have no real interest. I don't think these movies are made for me. But there was one interesting thing that everybody seems to be talking about, and we are definitely going to talk about that right now, because the way speculation is moving on this shows that there's people aren't really thinking this one through. So in the Endgame trailer, as you can see here, this is a screen cap from Hawkeye training a Hawk Girl. Now, if you look at it, this is clearly like his daughter. It's some kind of flashback, and people are saying that this is Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop being the female Hawkeye. And the book that seems to be moving really well right now is Young Avengers 12, which again is nuts. So we're gonna have to do some fact checking and look into this. Is Kate Bishop going to show up in the movie? Well, there's been speculation that she is, but this really appears to be a flashback because we know that Hawkeye becomes Ronin. He no longer is Hawkeye, so there's a lot going on. But I think we got to think about the whole dynamic of Hawkeye as a character in these movies. He has a wife in these movies. He has a daughter in these movies. So who would he really be doing this? Facts of the matter is, he has a daughter. Her name is Leela Barlin, or is that Bartin? Who knows? But this is his daughter. It's Bartin, by the way. She was in Age of Ultron, and she's the daughter of Laura and Clint. So it's a joke. This is a complete joke speculation that this is making this book. If you have this book, 100% sell it. But is Kate Bishop going to show up in the movie? Unconfirmed. She might. Will she be Hawkeye in the movie? Unconfirmed. But this screen cap and what people are moving on, this is 100% not Kate Bishop, and this is just stupid spec right now. So that's just something to be thinking about. Because that's dumb. It's moronic at this point. But today what I really wanted to talk about was Mexican Spider-Man. Because obviously that's what everybody wants to be talking about. And when I say Mexican Spider-Man, unfortunately, I'm not talking about my dude Miguel over here, who is Mexican Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2099 is completely underrated. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about today. I want to talk about the Mexican editions of Spider-Man. So I wrote an article about this on comicbookspeculation.com at the beginning of February, maybe the beginning of January, who knows. But there seemed to be some movement on Twitter from this, and then my buddy Nico was pointing out to me that these books are actually starting to move, so I thought it would be a great topic for a video. So basically, when all these comic books came out on the American market, foreign publishers started trying to get the rights to them and publishing them in their foreign tongues, and a lot of them did very well. I mean, there's French reprints, Belgian reprints, Swiss reprints. Almost every uh, first world country had their own reprints of various comic books from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. But one that's really, really cool, and this again was pointed out on Twitter by a comic user named Hawkeyes. I know we all know who that is. But in 1963, Mexican comic publisher La Presena started publishing Marvel comics, and they translated into Spanish. And they were translated into Spanish. You know what I'm talking about. But 3 months after the release of Marvel's original Spider-Man #1, La Presena released their version of El Sorprende Hombre Ariana #1. So it became very successful, and according to Alberto Calva, a comic book translator living in Mexico City, on Twitter, he said that eventually the title became so successful that La Presena wanted to publish 2 issues a month, which led to the editor of the company going to Marvel and asking permission. So at which point Marvel agreed. Why did Marvel agree? I don't know. But Marvel agreed to this, which, again, is crazy. And Mexico started publishing their very own Spider-Man comics. So there were about, how many were there? There were 44 original stories, and they were published between 122 and 185. And they all have original covers, and they're all really neat. Like this one with Namor, really neat. This one with aliens, really neat. Another really cool thing about this is Gwen Stacy didn't die. They only had really one comic artist. There were 2 comic artists who were involved in these, but there was really one who did all of them, almost all of them, named Jose Luis Duran. And yeah, there were 45 original covers and 44 original stories, and they're really cool. I mean, in one of the issues, Peter gets married to Gwen, and she's heavily involved in the vast majority of these books. The covers look crazy, and these books have never been reprinted in English. So, and again, as I forgot to show this image, it all started on Twitter, through this one Twitter thread. This tweet blew up, and it really became a thing. But now that it's been about a month, these books are really blowing up on the secondary market. Foreign editions, for the most part, are disregarded because they're not English and they don't have as big of a comic buying market. But these books are going for $200 to $300 just because Gwen Stacy's alive. If you look that up, it's just nuts. So these are definitely books that you should be thinking about if you see them, because I know they are out there. If you see these books, you should definitely be buying them. It happened between issue 122 and 185. Within that run, there's 45 original covers and 44 original stories, as well as a lot of reprinted material. But very undervalued. The fact that these haven't been reprinted in English, they will be, because just based on the storm on Twitter that was started, these are going to be reprinted, and these are going to be great books to be buying. Like, just look at this one. What is going on here? Spider-Man's fighting actual bugs, and then you have a good girl, who, again, I assume is Gwen, just chilling. It's bizarre to me. But that's really what's going on here. So I just think these are books that you should be thinking about. Online, they're going crazy, so they're definitely books you should be. If you're in Mexico, they might be something to be looking for. But who knows? I'm not really sure where you would find these books at this point. But they definitely are doing very well on the secondary market. And again, Spider-Man fighting aliens, Spider-Man fighting giant bugs. These are all covers you've never seen before. And there's, again, 45 of them. So it's definitely something to think about. When you look at what some of the Japanese Batmans sell for, the Japanese manga Batmans, which were completely new stories and were Batman in the manga style, those can go for a crazy amount of money. And I know DC recently did a book where they reprinted all of a few of those and in English. It's just something to think about. These Spider-Mans will be reprinted. They will have a lot more collector's value than they have now. And as I'm saying, they're selling really well. So That's what you should be thinking about. Mexican Spider-Man. It's not all just about my dude Miguel, who, by the way, is the greatest. And you should be buying copies of his first appearances because they're great. But that's just it. Okay, Mexican Spider-Man is real, and the Mexican Spider-Man comics from Lab Presena shouldn't be slept on. That's really all I wanted to highlight today. But again, if tomorrow's videos might be a little late, who knows? But if you click down here, you can subscribe to our channel, and if you click up here, you can see a playlist of all of the videos that I've done recently. We're also doing a podcast tonight here at 9:30 EST, so that is something to check on. Make sure you subscribe down here for more info on that. Okay, thanks guys, bye now.